Jassie's three optical sensors dilated as the proximity alarms screamed through the station's neural network. The Velcaran scientist had spent 17 cycles studying human physiology aboard the Joint Research Station in Devers Light, but nothing in her extensive xenobiology database had prepared her for what was about to unfold. Hull breach in Sector 7. Daniel's voice crackled through the comm system, unnaturally calm for a species that should be panicking. Atmospheric integrity compromised. We've got maybe 6 minutes before the cascade. The cascade. Even the translation algorithm struggled with the human term, settling on something that meant cascading system failure leading to total annihilation. Jassie's chromatophores flickered yellow, the Velcaran equivalent of terror. She had read the reports, of course. Everyone in the galactic consortium had. When humanity first achieved faster-than-light travel and made contact, the galaxy's established civilizations had been underwhelmed. Humans were soft-skinned, required specific atmospheric conditions, and died embarrassingly easily. They had no natural armor, no redundant organ systems, no electromagnetic sensitivity. By all accounts, they were the weakest species to ever achieve spacefaring status. Jassie's manipulator appendages trembled as she sealed her environmental suit. Through the transparent aluminum viewport, she could see the source of the breach. A micrometeorite swarm had punched through the station's outer hull with surgical precision, striking the primary fusion reactor's cooling system. Superheated plasma was venting into the maintenance corridors, turning the entire sector into a death trap. "Daniel, evacuate immediately," she transmitted, her translator struggling to convey the urgency in her bioluminescent patterns. "Your thermal tolerance is insufficient. The ambient temperature in Sector 7 is already 340 Kelvin and rising." "Copy that, Jassie. Heading there now." Her sensors must have malfunctioned. "Negative. I said evacuate, not, I heard you." Daniel's image appeared on her heads-up display, his face covered by a standard emergency mask, wearing nothing but a thin maintenance suit. Behind him, she could see heat distortion waves rippling through the corridor. "But the manual override for the emergency bulkheads is in Sector 7. If I don't reach it in 4 minutes, the plasma breach reaches the oxygen reserves. At that point, we're not evacuating. We're scattering across 3 light seconds of space as molecules." Jassie's entire body flushed purple, shock, and disbelief. "The temperature there exceeds your species' thermal death point. Medical databases confirm humans experience protein denaturation at 315 Kelvin. You will die." "Probably not." Daniel was moving now, and her sensors tracked his heat signature approaching the breach zone. "But definitely yes if I don't try. You might want to start the evacuation procedures for everyone else, though, just in case I'm wrong about this." Through the station's sensor network, Jassie watched in mounting horror as Daniel entered Sector 7. The atmospheric temperature reading climbed, 350 Kelvin, 365, 380. The human should have been dead, his cellular structure breaking down, his blood boiling in his veins. But he kept moving. "Daniel, your vitals." Jassie pulled up his biomonitor data, and her optical sensors widened in disbelief. His core temperature was rising, yes, but his body was responding in ways that defied everything she knew about biology. Sweat glands activated across his entire dermal surface, creating an evaporative cooling system. His cardiovascular system had redirected blood flow away from his core to his extremities, deliberately sacrificing peripheral efficiency to maintain central nervous system function. His respiration rate had increased by 340%, and his metabolism had shifted to anaerobic processes. He was adapting in real time. "Humans don't thermoregulate like you folks." Daniel's voice was strained now, each word costing him. "We're persistence hunters, Jassie. Back on Earth, our ancestors chased prey until the animals literally died of heat exhaustion. We're built to keep functioning when every sensible creature shuts down." The temperature readout hit 400 Kelvin. Jassie's suit would have failed 3 minutes ago at these readings. Daniel's exposed skin was reddening, and she could see the tremors in his hands as he worked the manual override panel. "This is insanity," she transmitted. "Your species evolves for one environmental niche and then deliberately enters lethal conditions. This is why humans are classified as Class C survivability." "Yeah, well." Daniel's fingers, despite their trembling, moved with mechanical precision across the override panel. Class C just means we're too stupid to know when we're supposed to be dead. Almost. Got it. The manual override engaged with a heavy clang that reverberated through the station's superstructure. Emergency bulkheads slammed down, sealing off Sector 7 just as the plasma breach reached critical mass. The explosion on the other side of the bulkhead registered as a seismic tremor, but the integrity held. Then Daniel collapsed. Medical emergency, Sector 6 junction. Jassy was already moving, her 3 legs propelling her with desperate speed. She found him slumped against the bulkhead, his skin an alarming shade of red, his breathing shallow and rapid, but alive. His eyes opened as she approached, focusing with difficulty. Told you. Probably not. The medical team arrived within 90 seconds. A mix of Velcarin, Trescian, and one other human, a medic named Rodriguez. While Rodriguez worked on Daniel with practiced efficiency, pumping cooling fluids and electrolyte solutions into his system, Jassy stood back, her chromatophores cycling through colors she didn't have names for. Later, in the station's medical bay, Jassy visited Daniel's recovery pod. He was awake, looking tired but characteristically unimpressed by his own survival. The Consortium Council wants a full report, she said quietly. They're reconsidering humanity's survivability classification. Daniel laughed, then winced at the effort. Tell them we're still Class C. Because the thing is, Jassy, any sensible species would be. The difference is that humans evolved on a planet that spent millions of years trying to kill us in creative ways. We didn't get tougher or develop better armor. We just got more stubborn. Jassy's optical sensors fixed on him. You walked into conditions that should have killed you, for a station full of beings you barely know. Yeah, Daniel said simply. That's kind of what we do. As Jassy left the medical bay, she began composing her report to the consortium. She would recommend changing humanity's classification, not to a higher survivability rating, but to something entirely new. Because she had learned something that day that no amount of xenobiological study had prepared her for. Humans weren't weak because they were fragile. They were terrifying because they were fragile and simply didn't care. In a galaxy full of species with natural armor, redundant organs, and sensible self-preservation instincts, humanity had evolved something far more dangerous. The absolute refusal to accept their own limitations, and standing beside a human when the universe tried to kill you both, Jassy realized, was the safest place in the galaxy to be. End of transmission.